It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com. Hi, I'm John Mallis. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Glad you're here. Another political show. Our new political analyst is in today to talk about local politics. We'll touch on some of the stuff that's happened with Bernie Sanders overnight and over the weekend. There were some riots, near riots in Nevada at the Democratic convention there. 436-ME-TV, option 11 on this Wednesday morning. Back in just a moment. Back here on the program, 436 MeTV Option 11. I'm so glad you are here. Today, it's a political topic again, and we'll talk politics on Thursday. That would be tomorrow. We're going to have Jeremy Pearson. He's running for City Council District number 6. Next week, Holly Carter's coming in. I guess our guest today, his friend Gary Bredefeld, just doesn't want to come in on the program. He got into a heated discussion with me the last time he was here over the stadium. Did I vote for the stadium? Did I vote? Do I look like I voted for the yes on the stadium? He voted yes on the stadium, Bredefeld, and he's attacking me. What did I have to do with it? I just asked him a question about it. He voted, not me. Anyway, on with it here on the program today. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. See, we're already having a lot of fun here. 436 MeTV Option 11. So Pierce is here on Thursday, and then on Friday we have Alex Ott. He is running for Fresno County Supervisor. And we'll also tomorrow, in the second half of the program, we'll have a young lady who is going to come in here. She worked on the Cal Dooley campaign. So she's going to give us a take on a couple of these things as well. But I'm happy that our guy is in today because he's a former Fresno City Councilman. Haven't seen him in a while. And the first thing I want to talk about today is this, the low-income housing. It's been a major, major problem here in the Central Valley for decades and decades and decades, and you may have seen the article in the Fresno Bee over this past weekend with the housing problem. It was a big expose. Actually, it wasn't this past weekend, it was the weekend before. So let's roll the videotape and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, my friends. I am talking about the Sunday article 2 weeks ago casting a light on some of the poorest neighborhoods in our city, where thousands and thousands of people, they're living in just unthinkable type conditions. You're talking about cockroaches, you're talking about rats, bed bugs, water leaks, mold, rotted out ceilings. It's been like this for years and years and years. Where have our city leaders been? Who is to blame? Well, the Bee's investigation focused on landlords, not necessarily tenants, indicating that slumlords are not being held accountable. Their housing units are not being checked, and the violations are not being met with fines. Disturbing photos from last November's Somerset Village apartments. No heat, no hot water for a month, affecting, about 1,000 people or so. And documents that were dug up by the Bee show that 19 fires took place since 2007, code enforcement violations in 28 months. That included gas outages, broken gas lines, insects, leaky pipes, mold, of all things. Yes, the city now has a code enforcement task force and a program for rental inspections they say is on the way. But flat out, my friends, the city manager, the city of Fresno, says we just don't have the manpower to deal with this. And one local advocate claims this is our Flint, Michigan. Live in our studio right now is Blong Xiong. He's a former Fresno City Councilman. He's here to give his take on this and much more. We'll run down all the races here locally. He was in office from 2007 until 2014, so not all that long that he's been out of office. Blong Xiong is here, 436 MeTV Option 11. Hey, what's your take on these slumlords? What should happen to a guy like Chris Henry, Somerset Apartments? Remember, he was public enemy number 1 for a while, as his picture floated across the front page of the Fresno Bee, public enemy number 1. 436 MeTV Option 11 as we take a look at public enemy number 1. I'm not talking about me, my friends, or Blong Xiong. I'm talking about Chris Henry. That's right. Weigh in, call in. Back in a moment after this from McHenry Protective Services.
Revan is now on KVHF channel 4.4.
Okay, back here on the program, 436 MeTV option 11. Time to weigh in on the program. Blong Xiong is here. Good to see you, my friend. How are you? Haven't seen you in a long time. Not since yesterday.
Okay, I was about to say, man, I appreciate you inviting me back. I always enjoyed my time here with you.
Yeah.
Talk
Fun,
about different things.
It's fun, huh?
It is fun. It's very relaxing. We get to kind of shoot the breeze on different issues, and most of the time we're on the same side. There's sometimes we kind of banter a little bit back and forth.
It's okay. It's all in fun, right?
It is.
And I enjoyed the guest yesterday because you're in charge of the new Asian market out there.
I'm not in charge now. Let's
well,
not.
What are you then? What's your role there?
I helped him with the grand opening with some of the public relations, and this last piece was to make sure that we scheduled him to come and talk about the store with your show. You reached out, and I just want to make sure that we do a good job and make sure that he understands kind of the media dynamics and what it can do for the outreach piece.
Yeah, hey, it's at Kings Canyon in Willow. It's a great store. Go check it out. I'm going to go check it out myself and see what it's all about.
Can't wait. Then you can report back.
That's right. Hey, let's put up that picture, Public Enemy #1. And I wasn't talking about me, of course, to some people watching this program. I am Public Enemy #1. But this is Chris Henry right here. So what do you make of this guy? This guy's got all kinds of lawsuits coming his way. A lot of people think this guy ought to be in jail. What do you make of this?
I remember the incident, even though I was out of office, and I was part of some of the community advocates and talking with my fellow former colleagues and see what was going on, and to see them for this particular issue, the action that occurred was pleasantly surprising, and how the city moved on this. But
what happened to this guy?
Well, this guy just happens to be at the wrong time in terms of what happened to the community there. But he's actually probably not the biggest slumlord that we have here. If you look at it, you look at JB Homes and a couple of those that have the city have dealt with for the long time. And if you talk to the advocates, they'll be more than happy to tell you some of the top 5. And so he's probably up there, and he should be held accountable in terms of the policies that we have. We have them in existence. It's not about creating
what's them
the policies in terms of slumlord, how to aggressively go after them. To a certain level, it is about having the resources in terms of manpower, the staff to do the work, but also the legal side of it from the city of Fresno to make sure that we go after these type of slumlords that impact our most challenged community members.
Hey, did you see that front page of the Fresno Bee? We have that picture of the Fresno Bee article on the slumlords. Put that up, because it ran not last Sunday. I made an error in judgment there, which I make very few of those here on this program. It was a couple of weeks back, Blong. Have a good laugh there. And but anyway, so this guy Chris Henry, I mean, the focal point was blame not the tenants. However, you need to blame the landlords. Is that correct, or should we also part of the blame go on to the tenants who may not take care of these places? I mean, it's a complex issue, I know. So what's your...
It is a complex issue, but when you're talking about a good portion of those that are in this situation, it's very difficult. And especially you look at the Somerset apartments. Language is an issue. They're concerned about other things, that if they're poor, they could be retribution. So sometimes it's very difficult to say that it's the tenant when the slumlord or those in position of authority probably have access to all the resources that they need. And these are concerned citizens that are living in substandard condition, but are afraid that if they say anything out there, retribution can happen to them.
Did you go out there when this happened?
Yes, I did. Several times. Met with the organization that was spearheading kind of the services out there. Talked with, like I said, with a couple of our council members, and met with the mayor a little bit on the issue, and just making sure that, at least from my side, that the community was being addressed. And a good portion of those tenants are Southeast Asian or Hmong, and a lot of the elders, so they know who I was, and it was important for me to be there when I can.
Do they share part of the blame? I know that's a loaded question, but I had to ask.
If the proper opportunity in terms of equity, the type of outreach is given to them, yeah, you can have that. But again, they're in a difficult situation. Language becomes an issue. Culture is an issue. Understanding the system is an issue, and the fear of retribution for a lot of the tenants.
For what?
They in their mind that many of them, they speak up and report this. the landlord may kick them out, may do things that they don't know how to handle. Such a
Hang on, caller.
being in this community, right?
Right.
With all the paperwork, with all the legal issues. So, what are they supposed to do? And so
Yeah.
it's important to make sure that they have agencies, whether they be nonprofit or even the city, to make sure that they understand the resources are available to assist them.
Yeah, we need to make sure that those people are not afraid to speak up.
Right.
You know, there will be no retribution if you speak up. Tell us what's going on. Is the landlord taking care of the place,
Right.
or is he not? If there are rats and cockroaches and mold, mold. How do you live with mold? That's a health hazard.
Well, I understand. I mean, this is not to say that the situation is acceptable, but many of these folks, and we'll talk back to the Somerset, they come from probably a worse living condition environment than what they're having here.
Yeah,
It's
back in the old country.
Right, third
Yeah.
world country. You're looking at, shacks or bamboo or thatched roof, no
Yeah.
water system or
I know.
and those stuff.
No bathrooms.
So this is an extremely terrible condition, but compared to those conditions, it's even a little step up.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They
Right.
consider it a step up when it's not.
No, when it's not, and making sure that they understand that they have tenants' rights.
Yeah, which they don't have over there.
Nope.
But we have them here. And
Yes,
so
we
it's
do.
part of the language, part of the understanding process, part of the education process, which guys like you can come in and help. Caller, you're on the line with Blong Xiong. Go ahead.
Yeah, my thing is that I think the ultimate responsibility falls on the city of Fresno because if this was going on in North Fresno, up there in the River Park area, this would not be happening. I mean, I live south of there. I live in an area where it's old, but it's a nice place. But my brother lives up there near River Park, nice houses. He calls up the police and just for somebody solicitors, and you got 5 police cars there already there, picking up all the solicitors, and they're out of here. And you take somebody, he just laughs about it. He goes, "Look, I pick up the phone, they show up right away. I pick up my phone, and nobody ever shows up." I mean, I think that's the problem is that they just neglected that whole area, and I think the ultimate responsibility goes to the city of Fresno. I mean, they don't really care about that area. They just look at us as if we're poor, we don't deserve their attention as much. Maybe we don't pay the taxes that the people up there, in the beautiful side of Fresno pay. I think that's what it's at. That's what's going on here. I mean, that's just my opinion. And I used to own rentals. And I finally gave up on it because, some of my renters were destroying the place. And, I sold like 7 or 8, 7 rentals. And I sold them all because it was just too much trouble with some of the renters. But a lot of them were really good people. But it just became a headache with the city of Fresno. And that's what I got to say. Thank you.
See, there it sounds like that caller is saying the city of Fresno is ignoring that area to begin with. It's not only Somerset, it's the whole area. You call the cops and maybe they don't show up, according to him, not me.
Look, in my limited time at City Hall with 8 years, there's always that conversation that I've had with neighbors, and what we've been able to do is when we hold those neighborhood meetings and then talk and bring the resources to have the discussion, the truth is somewhere between the extreme on both sides.
Yeah.
And they have a better perspective of what it is. But at the end of the day, we're community residents. We're a part of that solution, and it's important for our residents to be able to report it as we have limited resources to go around do all the checking as we go through. But that also gives us an opportunity to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do as well, right? Reaching out, doing the work. But that's where we get a lot of elections, right? For all these that want to come and be leaders and be in charge and do the work and get to hear a lot of the promise, because this issue, as you've said, it wasn't yesterday, it wasn't 5 years. I mean, these are the same issues that when I came in was there, before I came in was there, and we've done some work to address some of the housing issues, but there's still more to do and continue to, because we're a growing community.
Yep. Okay, Blong Xiong is here. 436 Me TV option 11. Time to take a break here on Connect with Me. McHenry Protective Services, your sponsor today here on the program. I have an open line. Come back, call in, weigh in just a moment. It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start.
But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV.
Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting.
Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Got an open line here on a Wednesday morning on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. Blong Xiong is here. Can I ask you a pointed question?
Oh boy, here we go. Please.
Okay, you were in office for 8 years.
Yes.
Why didn't you do more to address this problem?
Well, it takes more than one elected person, right? There's just called a majority vote to move items. Whether we're I think that's one of the things that I think our constituency has. I understand very clearly now that I can go on the campaign trail and Stomp says, Blong wants to change everything, right? And then when Blong gets to the office, Blong can't talk to his colleagues and work in a collaborative manner and can't get the 4 votes to move on important policy issues, then Blong's just talking. And so that's the reality of working in a democratic government and making sure that we think that affordable housing is an important issue. I think all of us agree. How do we address this? We all have different ways of addressing affordable housing issues.
Did you try to do more when you were in
We
there?
did. I mean, we actually look at the plan that came in with they had the affordable housing plan that came through. We looked at the packet, and actually we pushed some of the policies in terms of putting more teeth to the policies that we currently have in terms of going after slumlord or vacant housing. One of the things that we do with vacant housing is that we can actually put a lien on the property, because at that time you notice the slump, a lot of foreclosure in homes, right? And so a lot of those owners or institutions are outside of the area. And so we had to put some teeth into the policy we had, that we can actually go and take over the property, but put the lien on the property, and they couldn't sell that particular property until the lien was addressed. And so those are the type of things that kind of moved us forward.
But the things that were in place, why weren't they more effective, do you think? Was it just lack of manpower?
No, I think it's really a combination as well. I mean, remember the big slumlord here have also they understand the legal process a long time. It's not as though, hey, we saw this roaches and unsafe living conditions, right? It's not here and then next week it's resolved. There's a legal process. The slumlord understands that you have to go to the court. They have their rights.
Takes time.
Right. They have their rights, and then they have their attorneys, and they're putting hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars to fight the city and to fight the system, to make sure, even though they know that it's wrong, but they'll do that to delay the process and then hope for a change in terms of politics and policies.
Wow. So it takes a long time. And it's not just one person. You have to get everybody on board.
Right.
But like Clint Olivier said when he was on the program not long ago, he said, look, I was in broadcasting, and boom, you go into office, in public office, and this is the first time he has held public office, and you realize how everything comes to a screeching halt in government. It's not like the fast-paced world of private business, like in broadcasting. It's just it's fast-paced, it's moving. But in government, kaboom, they put the brakes on, and everything is bureaucratic, and it takes time. Is that true?
Part of it's true. I mean, it does take time, because the decision is not your own. Even the mayor. Right, the mayor technically is the CEO. Yeah, the mayor can't go and make a unilateral decision, right? That if 5 council members says no, that's overridden. Then the mayor will have to step back, just like our president. He can't go out there and make a unilateral decision. If Congress and the Senate says no, they have enough vote and it slows it down. Yeah. So it takes an important person to be able to understand the political dynamics, be a statesperson, and understand how to move your fellow colleagues to push on policy that really matters.
I'm going to put some quotes up on the board here and just get your reaction. Steve Brandow, let's put that Steve Brandow quote up here because he told the Fresno Bee, actually he didn't tell the Fresno Bee, he was talking on KMJ radio, and he said, by some estimates, slumlords are responsible for 10 to 25% of the issues at apartment complexes around the city. Slum tenants, and suggested tenants could represent about 75% of the problem. We need a 4-month investigation on slum tenants.
I think
just waiting for your response.
It's a comment. I would just say that, you know, my former colleague, I love him to death, but I think
is he wrong?
Well, I'm not sure if he's wrong. I think if we're going to have a 4-month investigation, it should be done on both, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I remember excuse me, when we were also, you know, part managers as well, and we definitely understand the challenges of having tenants that are, let's just say they know the process extremely well. And it has had to take advantage of good landlords and destroy property on those things as well. So there's no doubt there's those individuals and issues that we all have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But there's a different level in terms of playing field as well, because of, you know, from an owner to a tenant. There's a different level.
Yeah. Hey, let's put the other full screen. It was called Renters in Fresno. 38,000 are categorized as low income, $28,000 annual income or less. 62% are extremely low income, 75% or 75,000 people waiting for affordable housing. Fresno Housing Authority has space for only 12,000. And this source came from the Fresno Housing Element, which was reprinted in the Fresno Bee. And so that's really how you categorize low-income people in this Central Valley. There are lots of them. I mean, thousands that could be in the same situation as those living in the Somerset Village Apartments. I think I got a call here. Caller, go ahead. You're on the line with Blong Xiong.
Wong, let me what they put up on the screen as far as 25%, 75% of slumlords is 25, and the tenants are responsible too to keep up all their their apartments or houses clean, whatever. That's wrong what he said, because I've been in areas where on Kings Canyon Way, whatever, apartment complexes where the tenants are clean. I mean, they have, they might have foot traffic or whatever, but I've been when I was in supervisor's security there at the wineries, and it's low income, whatever, they were really kept up clean and whatnot, but the owners didn't take care of a lot of the, let's say, electrical stuff and whatever, But to say that it's only 25% slumlords, that's hey, I can say no. They just want to look good, say what it's the tenant's fault, but it's not. I'm saying it's both parties, but not that kind of 75%. And what you tried to do when you were in the city council, it was only you, and not the rest of the city council. I think Ashley should have been able to go to your neighborhoods, check out a lot of the areas, especially, where there's a lot of problems with the slumlords, and they could have taken care of the business right there and then, instead of, living in she probably lives in a good area of town and never saw that stuff that you'll never see, because it also takes the police department, sometimes they won't go into areas like where there's a lot of gangs and whatnot, and you go on the good side of town and they will get them.
All right, caller. Thank you very much. And I think what he's talking about is he wants to, focus more on the landlords, but we don't know what the percentage is, because Steve Brandow is a carpet cleaner by nature. Right. And so he goes into some of these rentals and some of these homes and he sees it firsthand that they're not taking care of the place. And I think that's what he's basing his experience and comments on. So to put an accurate figure on it, nobody can do that.
No, I think you know, even it would be naive of me to say that it's not a combination of both to a certain level, right? But I also want to caution in terms of saying this as well, is that there's a difference in terms of equity and resources available in terms of what the landlord is able to do and what actually the tenant is able to do, especially with the challenges that they have.
Hey, I got to put up one final quote here before we go to a break. It's the Fresno Code Enforcement Team, Bruce Rudd, telling the Fresno Bee that in 2006 had 86 positions. That was prior to you getting into office. 86 positions on the team. 2014, when you got out, there was only 29. 29. What happened? Of course, it went up.
Well, remember, we were right in that wonderful economic downturn that when I came in. So
that's what happened.
Well, there definitely was some battles during budget time, as you know, as I was during those budget fighting for different staffing, different resources. There were some differences that I had in terms of opinion on where budget cuts would happen. But again, it's one vote of 7, and so we lose out, and those are some of the positions that are sometimes the first to go when it comes to budget cuts, especially what we had to deal with.
How close did the city come to going bankrupt?
I thought we were close, but I don't think we were near to where our other fellow cities were. At least I felt comfortable enough that we were doing what we had to do, and that's why my message was a little bit different when we were going through that. Right? I said no.
Remember that big press conference that Ashley had? Huge press conference. It was like 4 years ago.
Right.
She said we're in a crisis mode right now, and everybody came out and was standing behind her when she made that big announcement in 2012, was it?
Right.
I think so. It was right a couple of years before you got out of office.
No, and you noticed that during budget time, I've agreed that we're in a tough, difficult situation, but
I know.
I've never said that we were in bankruptcy mode. I've always thought that we were in a budget situation. We had to make tough decisions, no doubt about that. But I think we made tough decisions, and we put ourselves back to where we needed to be. So my message was never that we were in bankruptcy.
Hey, we're going to talk about some of these people that are running for office, like the mayor's race, City Council District number 6. We may even touch on Clint Olivier and Joaquin Arambula. Anything that you want to talk about, call us, 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're back here on the program in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com. Well, we're back here on the program. We're going to talk about some of these races. Hey, just quick question here about this guy, Chris Henry, this guy from the Somerset Apartments, the owner. You think this guy had to go to jail? It certainly would send a message, I'll tell you, to a lot of other slumlords.
I'll tell you this, what happened in such a quick turnaround, and how the city, and I'm going to say in broad terms, the city really reacted to this one, did pleasantly surprise me, and put this particular position as the poster child. But as I've said, he's not the biggest that we have here locally.
Well, no, but we need a poster child to get rid of the problem. Put that picture back up just for a minute, because there is an incredible resemblance. Chris Henry, doesn't he kind of look a little bit like Bob Costas of NBC? A little bit? Is there a resemblance there, or is it just me?
Yeah, I'll just keep that comment to myself.
Am I right about that? Yeah. A little bit?
Yeah. That's what I thought when I said
Could be a twin brother of Bob Costas, huh?
Okay.
All right. Enough joking around. Public enemy number 1, Chris Henry. Hey, let's go to the mayor's race. I don't know if you saw the Channel 30 polls, the recent polls. It's 38 in favor of Perea over Lee Brand. 26.
And the other.
Lee Brand's got 20. Well, the others are so far down the line, it's not even worth mentioning. It's 38 to 26, Perea over Lee Brand, as far as the polls are concerned right now. It's early. There's 8 Spies, and where's our other guy, Doug Vagum.
Right.
So how do you see this race?
Well,
Is it Perea's to lose?
I think the primaries. That's what the poll's going to be. If you look at the last race where Henry Jr. ran, it's
Yeah.
and I use that kind of an example. It's not identical, but you look at the primary. He was the lead. He came out. He won.
Huge lead? Did he have a huge lead?
I don't know. I think it was still within manageable, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure this is considered hugely within the political world. But
38-26? I don't know.
12, 10.
It's
10
a
points.
sizable
But
lead.
It's not done yet.
No.
But you look at how that dynamic showed, and then because there's also within the races you have, I think 3 Republicans and. I think I'm not sure about the 5th one because you don't hear too much about him. So you can also see the numbers as
Richard Renteria, I
right,
believe.
and you can also see the numbers kind of against Lee in terms of the people that they're trying to go after and within that political election realm, right? And so you'll see the numbers, and I'm not. I think the primary is going to be important in terms of how big the lead's going to be, but I think it's going to play itself out. I think the real political battle is going to be from June to really November.
Well, do you think Henry can win it outright in June?
It hasn't been shown yet in terms of having one south of Shaw, and so until we change that dynamics, then it's still up in the air, and it's a tough race. It's gonna be a tough race. Whether it's gonna be Henry, and I think he'll be in the lead as we go into November, depending how Lee is able to move and galvanize and bring support to his campaign. But I think it's going to be an extremely tight race. It's going to be a tough race. It's going to be a very expensive race. And I think you'll see a lot more activity as we get into the November election.
Yeah, Lee Brand has a lot more money than Henry Perea in the bank for campaign advertising and whatnot. We're seeing all the ads already. And Lee has put up this ad where he talks about, he came out of poverty here in the city of Fresno, made himself rich to a certain extent from a monetary standpoint, and considers himself a very successful businessman. But at the same time, Perea has got more name recognition, even though he has far less money.
Right.
So what's going to play out here? What's more important, name recognition or more money to put more ads on the air?
Well, if it was one or the other, then we'd be in trouble. Well, it takes more than that,
What does it take?
It takes a combination of money. It takes a combination of name, and then what you have in terms of people helping you to do the work. So it's not one or the other. We've seen races where people have all the money and still lose. We've seen races where the person is well recognized and still lose. So you're going to have to be able to balance that in terms of a political campaign. About the money definitely gives you more flexibility, right? The more money you have, the more you can do advertising, the type of activities you want to do.
You can hit different outlets.
Right. And the name gives you a good base to start with. But remember, name recognition, it's a double-edged sword, right? Yeah, people may recognize Blong. Oh, they know Blong. Well, they may know Blong, but is it positive or is it negative? And so that plays into the name recognition as well. So that's the political dynamics in terms of it. You have to have a combination of money, of name, and your ground game in terms of getting this out. And that's why it's going to be a very interesting race.
So what does a ground game mean to you? You have to go out and knock on doors?
You're going to have to. I've learned, running a successful city council race, people want to see that you want the race. They want to see your face. They want to, kind of touch it. It's local.
How many hours would you have to spend
Oh,
campaigning? Henry Perea was in here a couple of weeks ago, and he said he's up early in the morning. He's out banging on doors, going to events. He doesn't get home until 10 o'clock at night.
No, it's true. You're putting 10 to 12 hours, and there's no weekend. You got functions all over the place, and you got to go places that maybe you traditionally hasn't gone to because
don't want to go to.
Whether don't want to, because you're representing the entire city.
I know.
And so you got to make those effort. And to me, and I love local races because it's about local, right? It's about us.
Yeah.
Our local officials, to me, impact our lives more than what happens at the state and the federal. They pass laws and we have to deal with it. But it's the local elected that interprets those and make sure it fits into our needs. So it's important for our local effector, for our residents to see who their local officials are in terms of their conversation. I'm talking to you as a candidate. Can I believe you? Can I trust you? What have you done? You get a chance to interact. And that's important in terms of a local race. So That's what I mean in terms of ground game. You got to be able to put yourself out there and get criticized for many different things.
Man, and you got to be able to take the hits. You got to be wearing that bulletproof vest,
Yes.
because they got to bounce off of you. And the other thing is, I mean, I'm sure there were some days when you were campaigning, you get up in the morning and go, oh my God, do I really have to go there? Do I really have to go there? I'm just not up to going there.
More often than not. More often
Really?
not. More often
But you
than not.
force yourself,
Well,
right?
You do it, but the good thing is that once you make that decision, you force yourself to get out of bed, you start walking. All right. Once you start walking out the doors, then that dissipates, and then you're okay. I'm in campaign mode now. I'm back on the street doing. But that from that decision to actually walking, going to play. I mean, you go to certain neighborhoods that you know that this is not your neighborhood, right? You know that the folks here are usually going to be more difficult, and there you'll get some negative feedback. You may get some doors slam on you. You may get names called, dogs going after you, and all those things.
You had all the above?
All the above.
How could somebody slam the door on you?
Oh,
you're such a nice guy. They slam the door on your face?
That's what I say. I'm such a nice person. You would think that they would at least allow me to talk, right? No, door slamming your face, gates won't even open, dogs are barking.
Anybody pull a gun?
Let's just say that we've had some very difficult situations.
I bet you skedaddled out of there, right?
We walked calmly away.
No shots fired.
In many situations, we walked calmly away. Not to say that there was any weapons drawn, but we walked calmly, knowing that But it's also important to show our residents that you're willing to go there to do those type of things because it matters to you.
Yeah, because when they say, like Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn, okay? You get off the lawn.
Of course.
And you never go back.
You respect the resident. You say thank you very much for your time, and right. Looking forward to. I hope we get your support, and you move on.
And as you're walking away, you go, "Can I have your vote, please?" Don't shoot. Can I have your vote, please? All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, as a prior council member,
Yes.
what do you think are the constraints to getting things done in City Hall? I mean, I'm pretty sure that you try to get things done, but there's always people saying you can't do this, stop that. Outside, lobbyists, their agenda. It seems to me like it's always going to be, no matter who's in charge, it's always going to be the status quo. It's going to be going this the way we're going to do it. I just wonder if. Does it matter who's in charge?
No, it does, and that's a fantastic question. That you raise, and for me the most difficult in terms, as I've said to people, the mayor to the 7 council member, we all want what's best for the city of Fresno. It's just that we all have different perspective of what's best, right? So we can come to the same vote, 7-0, 5-2, 4-3, but from different angles, and so it's going to be indicative, very important, that because you're going to have a diverse membership with the Republicans, Independents, Democrats, with different perspective, is to be able to work well with each other, but also be a strong, persuasive advocate to move those policy issues. And I've seen things get done that way. You're not going to get everything you want. Just know that going in. And if you think that you are, then you're going to be sadly mistaken. But it's how you get things done that matters to your residents. And I've been blessed to be able to get things done with my 8 years, from doing the park to improving Fresno High to doing big infrastructure projects. But did I get everything I want? No. But I also understand that I have to also support my colleagues in certain issues that I may be on the fence on, and they made their case to me. And that's really the the dynamics that I think our residents out there don't understand. And we want somebody that's elected that's going to be able to work well, that understand, that brings experience, that brings a level of statesmanship to move our city forward on what those priorities are.
Yeah. Hey, got to go to a break here. McHenry Protective Services, our sponsor today. Blong Xiong is here. 436 MeTV option 11. A lot more to talk about. We're back in just a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenner, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
It's no wonder why the City of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com. Back here on the program, a caller is waiting to talk to Blong Xiong. Go ahead.
Blong, I have, the very big problem about the city of Fresno. It's the city that has been wasting money a long, long time. It's very embarrassing. The money for the city should be used for purchasing more bus service, fixing the streets, cleaning those canals out. It would be a lot. What do you think, Blong?
Well, great question. We can't do anything with the canal at this particular point because that doesn't belong to the city. But in terms of those issues that you're talking about, the bus and what was the second one that you have there? I thought you wrote something.
Oh, yeah, I'm just talking about Granite Park,
the
Met,
sorry.
Stadium, BRT.
Yeah, and I think that the city is trying to improve the transportation.
Right.
But what we have to do is what we talked about when I was there in terms of growth, right? We grow up north or out west, and we don't have the infrastructure in place. That's defeating the purpose of what we want to do when we say we want to build walkable communities, right? And that's where we as council and the mayor has to understand that growth impacts, that we got to make sure that when we grow, that we have the money and the infrastructure to provide the service as what the gentleman was talking about in terms of bus and whether it's taxi or roads, appropriate roads for our community to go back and forth.
Hey, I need to ask you about this city council race because Jeremy Pierce is going to be in here tomorrow, Holly Carter next week, Gary Bredefeld not wanting to come in. They're running for District 6. That's Northeast Fresno out by Woodward Park. A lot of crime there. Crime up by, 27.7%. There's Bredefeld. You know him well. Jeremy Pierce, Elvis.
Is that Jeremy Pierce?
Yeah,
okay.
It is. That's Holly Carter. You know her. And so how do you see this race?
This is a toss-up race. I mean, obviously, Gary, you talked about the name recognition, right? Gary has been in office before, so he has certain name recognition. You have the two new folks that are coming in with Holly and with Jeremy, and so and different support mechanism, right, for those candidates.
Who do you give the edge to right now?
If I just had to, without not knowing the details, what's been done in the ground stuff, just the name recognition, you would have to say, okay, I think people know Gary a little bit more.
And would you give the edge to Perea right now over, forget about the polls, I'm talking about you, Blong Xiong. Would you give Perea the edge right now over Lee Brand?
I think it's close. I think
close to call?
Too close to call. I think Lee's been in office as well, although it's not as long as Henry. But I think the work that he's done within the city and the type of support that he had, so it's a close call.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Clint Olivier and his race against Joaquin Arambula.
Right.
Here's a doctor, never run for office before. A lot of people think he didn't and doesn't know the issues, cannot convey the issues, is not able to explain the issues because he doesn't understand the issues, yet he got elected almost like by a landslide almost. How do you explain that?
Well, remember what I said earlier, we talked about what it takes to win. It's a combination of name recognition, money, and activities in the ground game. And so all those must have played in terms of what happened. And because you look at the special election, this is just strictly speaking in terms of the policy. I've known Clint for a long time. He's my former colleague. I don't know Dr. Arambula as well, but I've known his parents, right, for a while.
Yeah.
And so I think when you look at that with how the special election was, that I thought that Clint's best chance was during the special election. But
here's a guy, Arambula, who couldn't even answer questions about any of the issues during the debates. He came on here and was unable to successfully answer any in-depth questions about the issues, how does a guy like that get elected? Not that I have anything against him, but I mean, if he can't talk clearly and concisely about and coherently about an issue, then why are you running?
Well, you know, John, you're a pretty critical person in terms of asking tough questions. I mean, I've sat here and you've asked critical and tough questions.
I know, but if you can't answer a question about
sometimes
a simple issue,
I don't know. But people may say, well, you didn't answer John's question. I was like, well, I thought I did, but you know, it goes both ways.
Oh, I mean, if I'm running for office, okay. And frankly, I've thought about it. But if I'm running for office, I expect tough questions. And doggone it, if a question gets thrown at me, I better know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I just say, well, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to go home and study it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I think that's a mark of what people are trying to look at is that when. And you've asked me many tough questions. There have been a couple that said, "Hey, that's a great question. You know, let me. I don't know how to answer that question at this particular point, but I'll be more than happy to come back, call you, and talk to you more about it."
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions out there that I think when Clinton first came in, as he said to you, that he didn't realize until he actually was in that seat and grow.
It's the hot seat,
right?
Huh?
And grow and learn what it took and what some of those issues are. And so I expect all new people. They you know, the thing, unless you're a candidate that has served before, there's those candidates that haven't served, right? They come in and say, oh, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to do this. I promises, and I do that. Well, and if they're fortunate enough to win, and they go serve in office, then they realize all those I's doesn't work real well. That becomes the we. And for the state seat, it's even more difficult. You look at the numbers at the state, right, in terms of Dems and what you need is a majority to pass and how your voice is. That's even a more, I don't know, you know, in terms of what they're going to do to do things.
Here are some of the issues that the new mayor is going to have to face,
right.
And the new council person is going to have to be police, beefing up the police department. They want 1,000 cops. They're going to have to bring crime down. Crime is up by 27.6% at last check. They're going to have to deal with the economy. They're going to have to deal with this baseball stadium issue. Roll the videotape on the baseball stadium. I need to ask you about this.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Blong Xiong.
Right.
This happened before you. It's an issue after you. I think you were in office when they renegotiated the deal.
No,
I think, or was that before you?
It was before. I was in office when we had to address the renegotiation.
All right. You had to address the renegotiation. It was $1.5 million in rent by the Grizzlies initially. Now Chris Cummings looking to sell the team. He's with an eyelash, we're told. Got it down to $700,000 a year. Now, what do you think should happen? What should the city do? Should they accept $700,000 or even less just to keep the Grizzlies here?
Well, I think one of the challenges was to make sure that we had an owner that was vested. Whether it's Mr. Cummins or others that had the capacity to really move the team forward. If it meant that it was $700,000 less, but the owner showed the capacity and was willingness to do what it needs to do to be successful, then yeah. Because this contract that we have has been stated by our group here and future groups going to say was a bad contract for
it was a bad deal. Wasn't
it was a bad deal for us to get, and we have to sit out because it's a signed contract. We couldn't do anything to change it to modify, so we had to make some adjustments to at least get us through those economic times. So
now Henry Perea is saying that he's going to force the ownership to go back to that $1.5 million. Is that reasonable? Is that even possible?
Well, you know, unless he had a different way of looking at the contract, you know, I mean,
Doesn't he have to get the council vote to do that?
You have to get the council vote, but you got to make sure it's legal. At the end of the day, even the council voted on it. If there's a legal contract in place, what are you going to do?
You can't break the contract.
Right, if it's a legal signed contract. Now, you can talk nicely to the owners, and then there could be some negotiations, right? But to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and break the contract. Well, if you don't have the right to break the contract, you really can't.
If a new owner comes in and says, "Hey, I can only pay $500,000 a year," would that be acceptable, or would you say no?
No, you would. Like I said, you would have to look at the dynamics of what the negotiated contract is. It might be acceptable, right? If we say, okay, if that's the case, but we negotiate the contract to be more favorable to the city, then that leaves us, because the contract is to a certain point kind of what ties our hand.
Yeah.
And so if we're saying, okay, we'll take a little less, but we want a better deal, then let's look at it. right? And go through the process, the due diligence to get it done. And that's going to be the challenge of the council members, right? And the mayor, and how do they move that forward, and how well up to date is these council members in terms of dealing with this issue.
I want to ask you about the Fulton Mall. It's already being torn up.
It is.
It's already. Have you been down there?
I have been down there a couple of times, and I've seen the fences up, and obviously our business there are impacted just because the work is being done. And so it's not a matter of the debate that it's what if, right? It's going to happen. So now let's just see what that means to our business owner. Is it going to give what we want to give?
Is that going to help revitalize downtown, in your opinion?
We've had debates on both sides. From experts in the area, from our team, from both say that it's not. And so I think the question of whether it's going to happen, let's move forward to say it is happening. How do we make sure that it benefits the community? Because you can't go back and close it back up, can you? I mean, you already spent all that money to open it up. So to go back and hash that is really not beneficial to our residents and to our business owners.
Yeah, and here's talking about crime. I'm sure you saw this story in the paper here, which I have in front of me. It's the owner of a downtown Fresno bike shop. His name is Darren Johnson. He's been broken into so many times. He's decided to pack up and move out. His shop is located near Fulton Street, right near the Warner's Theater. He's broken into so many times. The rise in burglaries in Fresno's Southwest District, which includes downtown this year, which was 2015, is up by 13%. 13%. Is that going to improve with that mall being ripped out?
It depends on what type of revenues that the city generates from there to help out with some of, as you talk about, the need for 1,000 officers, right? Whether all the electeds are talking about it. The question I as a resident now, and as a voting resident, okay, if we're going to get 1,000 officers, they're not coming for free, right? It's going to cost. Where's the cost coming from? Because unless
where would they get the money?
Good question. That's the part of what the electeds have to answer, right? As they're running out, they have to tell us where the money's coming from. Is that coming from different departments? Is that coming from taxes? Is that coming from what? You can't just say.
Are they laying employees off at City
Right.
Hall?
You can't say that you're going to bring 1,000 officers, because that's a big budget, right? In terms of 1,000 officers.
They have 722, roughly speaking, give or take a few, right now. So that's a big jump to go from 722 to 1,000.
Right.
That's a lot of cops.
It is, and that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So where is it coming?
Retirement and everything else.
Where is it coming from? That's the question that residents need to know. Because it only comes from certain resources, right? I mean, it's not like we have new money. And even if we get, let's just say that even if we were to get grant money is only for a certain amount of time. And they usually have a string attached to it. Say that, okay, we help you bring in 25 officers. After 3 years, you got to keep them.
Yeah.
Well, where's the money coming from there?
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to make sure that whoever the mayor is looking at the budget issue perspective, and hopefully be honest about where it's coming from, and address it in a way that our community understands.
So you're talking about like a redistribution of money, maybe? Take it from pot A to pot B, or move it around, or?
Well, that's a question I want to know. I'm a resident. I'm a voter. And all of us should want to know, where is the 1,000? Where is that?
Is City Hall being transparent enough about this?
Well, I fought.
Doug Begum says no, they're not being transparent.
Well, I fought on those issues. I mean, I said there's certain budget things that even as city council that I was curious about, and they need to explain, and I've gone through there. But you still have to work collaboratively with the mayor, with the council colleague, and to make sure that we're transparent about it. I mean, from what I've heard, at least the commercials that I've heard that we want to increase police officers, and I support that. But I also support to how it's going to be increased, and what type of impact it's going to increase. Because we talked about housing, that we are short staff. Is that an area? Is Parks going to get cut? Because when I was there, Park was one of the first things to get dismantled when we had that budget crisis.
So many issues need to be fixed. Where's the money going to come from?
All right.
Yeah. Listen, I appreciate your time. Hey, you're going to be our new political guy here. I hope you're going to come back here after the primary. Come back after the primary.
Well, we after the primary, we get to see if it worked out the way we thought, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to be there? Who's at least do the runoff and the battle it out. We get to kind of talk about it now that I'm no longer in the limelight of the politics.
I know, but I like you here, and I like your take on things. So
I appreciate
hope
it.
you come back.
No, thank you. I appreciate the invite and looking forward to.
Okay, Blong Xiong, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Blong Xiong, the former city councilman. Hey, he's a normal guy, a normal citizen like you and me. Glad he's here, part of the program. 436-ME-TV, option 11, if you want to leave a message. Back tomorrow with Jeremy Pierce, running for City Council District 6. Have a good day. It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them